everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ocean State Aquatics TV, and today we are going to start out with a joke. So Danny, why was the gardener embarrassed?
I don't know, Stacy. Why was the gardener embarrassed?
Because he wet his plants. Speaking of plants, today we are going to be talking about different plant substrates. So let's get into it. So today we are going to be talking about the Fluorite gravel line. So I've got 3 of the Fluorite gravels in front of me. I am missing one. I do not have it in stock, but we have the Fluorite regular, which has a slight red tint. We have the Fluorite red, that is the one I'm missing, which is red. And then we have the Fluorite black and the Fluorite dark, and the dark is like a slight kind of darkish gray color. The only differences between all of the color varieties is just purely based on aesthetics. So whatever you want your tank to look like is going to be what color variety that you pick. So we are going to be talking today about what makes this a really good planted substrate and why you might decide to choose this as the planted substrate you go with for your tank. These gravels are described by Seachem as a specially fracted, porous, stable clay gravel. So while I may say that is a clay substrate, that may scare some people, but I will say that this stuff does not break down over time like other naturally occurring substrates or other planted substrates, so you don't have to worry about it breaking down and turning into like a fine silt or mud in your tank after a while. This holds its integrity the entire time that you use it. So what makes this substrate a good plant substrate is a really good question. Since it is entirely clay, in itself, it is essentially inert, or basically it has no fertilizing properties by itself whatsoever. Instead of considering this like a fertilizer, consider it more like a sponge. When you use these gravels with any fertilizers, whether it be any of the Seachem liquid fertilizers or any root tabs, the fertilizing benefits of those products are transferred into the gravel bed. By transferring these fertilizers into the gravel bed is essentially charging the gravel bed with all of the essential nutrients that the plant needs and distributing it across your entire tank and dissolving it slowly over time into the plants and into the water for the plants to use as they need it. That being said, if you do not add any plant additives or fertilizers into your tank, the only benefit for using this substrate is going to be it's good for holding the plants in place. Aesthetics, it's very aesthetically pleasing, it doesn't break down over time, and you will always have that possibility of starting to use additives in the future. It will give you that process. Even if you don't start in the beginning, if you don't add any additives in the beginning, later down the line, if you decide to start using additives, it will still have all the same capacities for distributing them across your tank. Another benefit of using this gravel is it does provide a small amount of iron naturally into your tank. Since this substrate is inert by itself, you do not have to use this in a planted tank. You can use this in any sort of freshwater aquarium that you may please, depending on if you just like the way it looks. Or if you want to start out with a regular fish-only freshwater tank for now, but you want the option of live plants down the road, this is a wonderful substrate to choose because you will have all of that capacity if you decide to go into plants in the future. When using this in a planted tank, it is the most effective when you use it just by itself, so the nutrients can spread across the whole tank, but it can be mixed with other gravels and sands as well. The best thing about this is it is not chemically coated and it will not alter the aquarium chemistry or your pH at all. The only downside to using this substrate, I guess, is adding it into your tank. So this substrate does come pre-washed, but since it is all natural and clay-based, when it is shipped and when it is transported, friction between the particles does create some dust and some cloudiness. So when you add it into your tank, it will cloud your water up for a little while, maybe a day or two. If you rinse it beforehand, you won't really have that much cloudiness, but you can still get some. If you are adding it into a brand new tank, I recommend either putting a plastic sheet down or putting a bowl down to add your water in so you don't disturb the gravel bed as much. If you're already adding it to an already established tank that has water in it, it will make your tank cloudy for a while, but if you just use a water clarifier or some fine mechanical filtration, you will eradicate that cloudiness relatively easily. To wrap it up today, this is a phenomenal planted substrate. comes in many different colors to match whatever aesthetic you are going for in your tank, and it also comes in sand varieties, so stay tuned for that video tomorrow, and keep it fresh.